It's been a couple of months since I spoke about my personal curriculum. I've kept a personal curriculum for a year and a half now, and it's a way for me to learn about things that interest me even though I'm no longer in institutional education. And it's incredibly fun. I've learned so much through my personal curriculum. And it's something I would highly recommend to anyone else who has left institutional education. So today I'm going to be planning my April curriculum, and the first step, of course, is deciding what to study. Paper technology. Now, technology is, quote, the application of scientific knowledge to the practical aims of human life. And this here is paper, in case you've never seen it before. Now, technically, paper technology refers to the methods and processes involved in the production of paper. And I'm not particularly interested in that. Instead, I want to think about paper technology in the sense that Michael Stolberg uses it. Stolberg thinks of commonplacing as a paper technology, and for him, paper technology is any use of paper which is able to aid human life and thinking. I always start with a mind map to get a sense of what things I'm actually curious about and what things I really want to learn about when I'm doing this module. So this time I've written down author notebooks, the way that authors and writers use notebooks, the philosophical significance of paper, the history of commercial notebooks versus handmade notebooks and when they first started to be sold and how they were sold, naturalist field notes looking at some case studies of field notebooks, Loic Term, who is the person who made this notebook, but it's named after a commonplacer. Interesting ways that notebooks have been used to catalogue random things. I want to try and find like a few examples, and then also find some more varieties of commonplacing. I know already quite a lot about commonplacing because I find it very interesting, but I would love to learn even more. So that's my mind map, and now all I have to do is put together the module. But before we do that, I want to get some tea. You can't do any kind of studying without tea, especially not when it's raining outside. Oh, I just love the rain. So good. This is my favourite tea at the moment. It's the Smoky Earl Grey from Fortnum & Mason, and it's so... it's so good. I cannot even tell you how good it is. So let's do a tea time with Ruby, even though, of course, I've had this multiple times just this week. Like, the Earl Grey is just so fragrant. Earl Grey is bergamot, I think, and it tastes very floral, but it's also, like, it's very light. It's a very light floral, and then that's paired with the smokiness from the lapsang, so it's like a blend of lapsang tea and Earl Grey tea, and I don't know how to, like, it feels sophisticated as a tea, if that makes sense. Like, it feels like the kind of tea you drink whilst reading E.M. Forster. Maybe also Evelyn Waugh, Oscar Wilde as well. This would be an amazing tea to pair with any of their works. So the very first thing I'm going to do is set learning objectives. So I am going to write this in my green notebook. This is the notebook I use for all of the things related to personal learning. Now, the reason I set learning objectives is just to kind of give myself some purpose and like goal within the whole of this module. I don't think this is absolutely necessary, but I increasingly understand why my teachers and professors at school and university would always give us learning objectives at the start of a module or the start of a lecture, because it kind of helps you to direct your focus somewhere. So when you're learning about something, you're thinking about how you can apply it to something in particular, if that makes sense. And so I do think this is a useful thing to do. I'm also going to write a short paragraph on why I'm doing this module and why I think notebooks are important and why I think they're worth thinking about. And the reason I do this is just to encourage myself to think. Writing is a way to synthesize your thoughts, to articulate your thoughts, to organize your thoughts, and when you put them down on paper, you're forcing yourself to kind of create a shape for them, and I just find that very helpful. It's why I'm such a big advocate for journaling, for writing, for kind of the regular practice of writing, because it's reframing your thoughts. And the purpose of this particular writing exercise isn't perfection. This is not meant to be a perfect piece of writing. There's not meant to be any pressure for it to be good. It's more about the process of thinking, the process of writing. Next, I'm going to put together the reading list, which I think is the most important part, but also the most time-consuming because it involves research. So I essentially just search up keywords and themes online and use this to pull together some kind of reading list. So let's do that now. And I've said this before, but really this is the main pitfall of personal curricula, that you don't know anything about this when you go into it. So you're essentially approaching this topic without any prior understanding. And of course, that's one of the reasons that teachers and lecturers are so important and so valuable, is that they know the landscape already. And so they know what things are important, what things kind of you should be directing your energy and research towards. So I do think it's important to kind of let yourself familiarise yourself briefly with the landscape of the topic before diving into it. I just wanted to quickly show you my web browser and how I'm using it at the moment, because it's very satisfying. So I use Opera as my web browser. So I've set the theme as ethereal, which is my favourite one. There are so many though that you can choose from. If you see here, like there's Carnival, which I like, and Interstellar, and it plays this wonderful calming music in the background. But if I want to change the music when I'm working, then I can click on this music player on the side, and then I can easily play music through this mini player which hovers over my screen. However, let's say I go on YouTube and I want to watch a TED Talk while doing research. Empty Hearts, Empty Notebooks. Let's go for this. So if I open a video like this while researching, immediately this little music player will stop so that I can watch this instead. And then if I click this button, the screen pops out, and then while I'm working, I can be watching this at the same time. It also means I can keep on watching it whilst I'm maybe like looking through one of these sources. My absolute favourite feature though is the Tab Island feature, which you can see here at the top. It makes it so easy to organise tabs when you're doing research. Now, whilst I've been making this reading list, I have invariably accumulated a lot that I would like to read. All of it like coming under the different themes in this mind map. The tab islands are an amazing way to sort this into a reading list, which is a bit more digestible. So as you can see, I've got one for writer's notebooks, one for notebook theory, one for field notes, and then for other interesting notebooks. And I can also change the colour of this and change the title. I also love using the split screen feature, so you just drag the tab there and then it splits the screen and you can take notes, and you can actually split it so you have 4 different screens at once, which means that you can easily compare different sources. Opera is completely free and really easy to set up and use, and I will leave a link down below if you want to give it a go. But thank you so much, Opera, for sponsoring this part of the video, and I am now going to transfer this reading list into Notion. Okay, so I've just put all of the sources under headings with the links here. Now there are a few books that I've made note of whilst researching that I would like to read, and my first point of call before even looking into buying them is to see if they're on the Internet Archive. This is a place where you can kind of virtually borrow films and books. So are Da Vinci's notebooks here? Oh, Simon Coleridge's are though, and Camus. There are loads of notebooks on the Internet Archive. Mycological notebooks? This is very cool. I might have to read some of these. Da Vinci's notebooks are here. Now, I do have my reading list, and most of these books are on the Internet Archive. There is one that isn't that I am going to buy, and then a second I might buy depending on how much I like it when I read the first chapter. So I'm going to buy The Notebook, A History of Thinking on Paper by Roland Allen. This is it. And I'll just read this as my introduction to the topic. Just poured hot wax over my computer. Gosh, that's so silly. And it went here. Surely that means it's gone into the computer. This is the culprit. I mean, quite obviously I was the culprit and not the candle, but still. Anyway, I am here making a kind of journal spread overview of the module in my notebook, and I'm using this sticker roll from Lillian Daisy. Her sticker shop is amazing, and she recently sent me a load of stickers, which is so kind of her because I love her shop so much and I've purchased from her quite a few times now. So I used the stickers to write out paper tech as a heading. I then just decided on a theme for each week. And then the very final thing to do was write down the different assignments. Now in the past, I've been very pedantic about this and assigned very specific assignments for every week, but I've been laid back this month, and instead I've just written a list of the assignments I've got to complete by the end of the month, and they're also not very extreme. So this is the weekly overview, and then here are the assignments in a little to-do list so that I can tick them off as I'm going along. And if you're wondering about the assignment breakdown, I am going to do a weekly literature review of whatever topic I'm learning that week. So there'll be one for the significance of notebooks, one for writer's notebooks, and one for field notes. I also will write 3 case studies of writer's notebooks. So I'm planning on doing Leonardo da Vinci, and I don't know which other 2 yet. And then every week in this notebook, I will write some handwritten reflections on what I've learned. So the plan is that it will be like at least 1 page, but ideally 2 pages. Again, in the spirit of the thinking through your pen, which I was talking about earlier. But yes, that is the curriculum all planned. My study space really does stay very similar, but this is my study space for the month of April. The essentials are, of course, the Paper Republic, my laptop. Here I've got my to-do list pad from Pumpkin Productivity. I love the design of this. It was designed by my friend Blakeney. Another mini notebook for notes, and my academic planner, of course. Some favourite pens here, namely the Zebra Serases. My mood board as usual. I was recently sent the new mini timer. This is the Mini 4, and it's basically a Pomodoro timer. Birdseed in case birds come, candle, picture, and another pen pot and candle. And that's the view from my window. Just to quickly show you, these are the stationery items that I use for organising all of the personal curriculum. So I've already shown you this, but this is one of my Paper Republics, and it's the one that I use for my personal curriculum. So this is the notebook that I've customised with this Latin phrase, meaning speech leaves and writing remains, which is actually really relevant for the theme of paper technology that I'm doing this month. And then I've also got this tiny rough notebook. I'm going to put through one of the ribbons now. I just like having a notebook for random notes, which could be really, really messy. So there we go. I've also got this Muji notebook. It's an A4 lined notebook, and it's just quite nice to write on paper this big. And so I don't exclusively use this for personal curriculum, but it's just for anything where I want to kind of make like a really big mind map, or do maybe some free journaling of some kind. And then the final thing is this folder, and basically I will print out literature reviews or like short reflective pieces or like research documents, and I will pop it in here so that everything's in one place. I just really like to keep it analog, even if... Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I am planning on doing a study with me for this April curriculum, either like a one-day thing, or I might even compile the whole month of study into one video. Let me know if there is anything that you're interested to learn about personal curriculums, or like know about it, if you're maybe thinking about starting your own, what might be helpful. But thank you again for watching, and I hope you have more than just a productive week.